when you talk about interest rates, it actually makes me think about how interest rates, if you were to say, I think the interest rate is this today, that the interest rate for one person isn't even the same as another. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. So there's multiple factors that comes down to an interest rate. What type of loan program, how much you're putting for your down payment, what's your credit score, and most recently Fannie Mae's come out with what's your debt to income ratio. We haven't seen that for as long as I've been a loan officer. All of these different factors, I mean, if you can imagine a grid with 10 columns and 10 rows, and each that's 100 different spots. Your interest rate will fall somewhere within these 100 columns or spots based off of all those scenarios that we talked about. So yes, people will look online and see today's interest rate is X, and then they'll come to us and we'll break it down, and actually it's a little bit higher or it's a little bit lower, right? And they're confused as to why, and it's because in the lending world, everything's risk-based, and so all these different factors determine the risk for this particular situation, so that'll determine what your specific interest rate is.
I mean, that's so important for somebody to understand, which I think leads me back to the misconception of like what you hear out there. You want to be mindful of what you actually receive and like process into then your decision making, right? Because if you see an interest rate at X, that doesn't mean that that's going to be your interest rate. Your interest rate could be higher, or it could actually be lower, right? I think another thing is closing costs. Buyers need to understand that there are costs associated with financing real estate, right? It's not just what my interest rate is, right? You got to think of your total cash needed to close for your down payment, your closing costs, and then being prepared for the monthly payment, which could be higher than what you're currently paying at wherever you're at, right?
Yeah, and to talk a little bit more about that, and then to tie that back into the pre-qualification process, if I was able to see all of your finances and I could pinpoint, yes, this is what your interest rate is based off of today's market, you guys know whenever I get someone pre-qualified, not only do I send them the letter, I also send them a loan worksheet. And that loan worksheet has 3 different options that best fit their scenario. So that worksheet will itemize the fees. It'll total the cash to close is what we call it, so that they know up front, here's my quoted rate, here's my estimated monthly payment, and here's all the cash I need, including down payment, including closing costs, including any potential points that I'm paying. It's one document, shows all that information.
Huge. And then when you're seeing a property that falls within the range that you've probably been projected already, I think it helps people make pretty quick decisions to say, all right, this is what I should do here for this property. I should pay down a point here, or this is what my projected monthly payment's gonna be, right? I think that's so much more valuable than finding a property that you like and really not having a clear idea of what it's gonna take to buy and then to pay it monthly, and then of course all the options that can come at that are at your convenience to decide through, right? I mean, it's a lot.
And we've seen huge differences in, say, property taxes from home to home. You can have 2 homes that are right next door to each other, and there's a $10,000 difference in property taxes for whatever reason. So it's very common for people to reach out to me when they're searching for homes, like, hey, Armando, I'm in the home right now. What does this monthly payment look like? And my response is, well, how much are you going to offer? And what's a property address? If I can get those 2 things, I can get them a loan worksheet with all of those specifics in 5 minutes. I hate to keep coming back to communication, but like it's so important.
It's so important.
Yeah.